Welcome to the Explainer. So, you've definitely heard of blockchain, right? Probably because of Bitcoin. But today, we're going to look past all the crypto hype. We're diving into how this exact same technology is quietly starting to change, well, pretty much everything, from the food on your plate to the way you might buy a house one day. Let's start with something you do every day: eat. Think about that apple you had this morning. Do you have any idea where it really came from? I mean, the whole story, from the actual tree to the truck to the warehouse, all the way to your kitchen counter. The truth is, that journey is incredibly long and complicated. It gets handed off from farmer to processor to distributor, so many steps. And here's the problem. At every single one of those steps, information can get lost, or changed, or even faked. And this is a huge deal. It's why we have things like food fraud and why it's so hard to track down contamination when there's a recall. I mean, a single recall can cost the company over $10 million. Okay, now imagine this. What if every single one of those handoffs, every temperature check, every move that Apple made, what if it was all recorded on a permanent digital receipt? One that everyone involved could see, and more importantly, that no one could ever change. That simple idea, right there, is the core promise of blockchain when you apply it to the real world. The tech that makes all of this happen is called distributed ledger technology, or DLT. And really, the best way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like a shared digital notebook. See, instead of one company keeping the one and only official record book, everybody on the network gets an identical copy. And that shift from a private ledger to a shared one, it is an absolute game changer. And you can really see the difference here. The old way, the traditional way, is we rely on some central authority, a bank, a company, a government, to keep the records. But that creates a massive single point of failure. If their server gets hacked, poof, the whole system is at risk. But with blockchain, that ledger is spread out across tons of computers. There's no central place to attack. Trust isn't in one company anymore. It's literally built into the fabric of the network itself. So how does it stay so secure? Well, every transaction, let's say a shipment of lettuce moving from the farm to a distributor, gets recorded as a block. Now, each new block gets cryptographically and permanently linked to the one that came right before it. This creates this unbreakable chain that goes all the way back to the very first transaction, which has a cool name, the Genesis block. And because of that chain, the record is permanent. You can't go back and secretly change something. Now, on top of this super secure chain, you can run something called a smart contract. Think of it like a digital vending machine for agreements. All the if this, then that terms are written right into the code. So, for example, a smart contract could automatically send a payment to a farmer the exact moment that a GPS tracker says their shipment was delivered to the warehouse. No more invoices, no waiting around for checks. It automates trust, which makes doing business way, way more efficient. All right, so we've got this foundation, right? Trust, security, automation. Now we get to the really exciting part. Let's look at how blockchain is moving out of the lab and into the real world, shaking up some of the biggest industries out there. Let's start with finance. You know the drill. Every time you open a new bank account, you have to prove who you are all over again. It's a pain. With blockchain, your identity can be verified once, securely, and then you can grant permission for different banks to see it. This could slash fraud and all that repetitive paperwork. And it's one of the key reasons why international payments can become so much faster and cheaper. Or how about healthcare? Data security there is everything. Just a few years ago, data breaches hit more than 27 times million patient records. It's a huge problem. Blockchain solutions can create one secure, unchangeable log of your entire medical history. And here's the best part. It gives you, the patient, the power. You hold the digital key to decide exactly which doctor or which hospital gets permission to see your records. And hey, if you've ever bought a house, you know the process is just buried in slow, confusing paperwork. By putting property titles and all that mortgage info on a shared blockchain ledger, everyone, the buyer, the seller, the bank, the government, can see the exact same verified information at the exact same time. It builds trust and can cut down the time it takes to close a deal from weeks to days. This next one shows a whole new kind of economy. Down in Australia, there's a platform called Power Ledger. It uses blockchain to let people with solar panels on their roof sell their extra energy directly to their neighbors. It creates a brand new local energy market and totally cuts the big utility company out of the loop. Pretty cool, right? Fake degrees are a surprisingly big problem. But what if you could store an academic certificate on the blockchain? Well, it would become instantly verifiable and completely impossible to forge. This gives students real ownership of their own educational history. They can share their credentials with an employer in a second without having to call up the university every single time. It's all part of this powerful idea called self-sovereign identity. And looking to the future, what about all our smart devices, the Internet of Things? Blockchain could be the secure payment layer for all of it. Just imagine your electric car pulling up to a charging station, automatically negotiating the best price for electricity and paying for it with a smart contract, all without you lifting a finger. That's the kind of secure device-to-device economy this technology makes possible. So as you can see, it doesn't matter if we're talking about energy or healthcare or finance, the core benefits popping up again and again are really consistent. It's all about this powerful mix of speed, better security through transparency, and some serious cost savings by getting rid of those traditional middlemen. Okay, but let's be real for a second. This is not some magic wand that fixes everything overnight. The technology is still growing up, and it's facing some major hurdles. There's scalability. How do you process a huge number of transactions really, really fast? There are the high costs of actually building these systems. And then there's interoperability, just trying to get different blockchain networks to actually talk to each other. But even with those challenges, the potential is just undeniable. See, at the end of the day, blockchain isn't just a new way to track products or send money. It's a foundational tool, a way to actually program trust directly into our digital world. And that leaves us with this huge, fascinating question. When trust is no longer something we just hope for, but something that's a built-in feature of our systems, what entirely new ways of working together and creating things will we invent next?